Welcome back, students. This is going to be the last module for the Excel course. We're going to dive into a little bit more complex topics. We're going to be getting into some useful tools into Excel. I decided to call this useful tools because there's so much crammed into these two videos that I'm going to have, but you'll thank me later because there's a lot of good information here. So let's jump into the quick PowerPoint here. As always, guys, this is Matthew Wynn, and we'll jump into the PowerPoint. So today, we're going to go over a couple different things: data validation, conditional formatting, solver, and also goal seek, data tables, scenario analysis, and also regression analysis using analysis tool pack. So let's get into it. Hands-on. I'm using Windows as always. My email is matthew.nguye2023@fau.edu. No E at the end of my name. That's not a mistake. 20 to 35 minutes for this video. And again, let's just jump into the workbook because that's what we're here for, right? Alrighty, guys, so let's do it. Useful tools. All right, we are here. Data validation. Kind of sounds confusing, but I promise you it is not. Data validation, all it is it allows us to set restrictions on the cell so we're able to have a user or somebody working with us to only put numbers or letters or a certain list of items into a cell. So let's say we have these two columns here, right? We want to add two numbers and we want to get the sum. All right, so let's write the sum formula equals sum. Now, we are Excel experts now, so we know we just put numbers in here. These are going to update. However, let's say we put in 1. Didn't work. Let's say we put in LOL. Didn't work, right? So let's restrict our user to specific values in this cell. So we'll go to data, click on this little thing right here under the data tools panel, and we'll choose whole number. We want it to be greater than 0 and no maximum. So we'll just say greater than 0. Boom. So let's just try to do 1 again. It's going to say, oops, doesn't match the data validation. Let's put -1. Oops, doesn't match the data validation. So what do we have to do? We got to put in numbers here, guys. It's going to restrict the user or whoever's deciding to use your spreadsheet into specific types of data. Now, that's useful, but this is where it gets super powerful. We can actually create drop-down lists inside of Excel. So here we have the type of business, and we want to get the monthly sales. So let's load up our XLOOKUP formula. XLOOKUP, our lookup value is going to be whatever we put in this cell. Our lookup array will be this. Our monthly sales will be this. We'll put input business as our error. Match mode 0. So we have him input our business. So what can we do, right? Let's say I type retail and I put an E. Oh, it didn't work. Why? So what we can do here is create another data validation rule. Data validation, click here. Instead of allow any input, any value, let's go to list. Our source is going to be the type of business. Click enter, click OK. And now we have a drop-down menu where we can choose the different businesses. Let's say I want to type in medical. Spell it wrong. Oops, doesn't work. It's going to restrict you from having anything break in your Excel sheets and allow you to really hunker down on how your data is being transferred within your sheet, which is amazing. Let's get into conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. Really cool if we can highlight the yeses and, highlight the no's in red, right? Conditional formatting. Let me take out the conditional formatting here so you guys can see. I'm going to clear the rules. All right, so we want to see if we reach the goal or not. Now, in this case, there's not a lot of data here, but let's do it. So we'll go to conditional formatting in the Home tab. We'll go to Highlight Cell Rules, Text that contains. For this case, let's do yes. Let's fill that with a green. And let's also add another rule. Highlight cell rules. Text that contains no. We'll fill that red. Now, what's awesome about this is if we decide to go in here and change these values, they update. Isn't that awesome? It's amazing, and you'll see we'll do another exercise later where this can be really useful for an analysis. Next, custom number formats. Okay, we did a little bit of this before. Now, let's say you have a bunch of sales numbers, right? And you got all these sales numbers, and you want to get them into this cool format. Now, I can write 100M, but if I try to do 100M, let's say I have 200Ms. If I try to do this plus this, I'm going to get a value error because those are not numbers, right? Now, if I write 100 million, that's a lot of zeros. And that's a big number. You can imagine it being kind of messy. So how do I get this to look like this? What we'll want to do is we'll want to go to the number here, and we'll want to go to more number formats. We're going to go to custom, and we're going to type in a number format here. Now, you can just copy this and memorize it if you'd like, and you can look into the different number formats online. I'll attach a PDF that will show you guys some different number formats you can do. So what we want to do is we basically just want to do number. Now, we want to limit this down. So we know that 100 million will be 3 commas, 2 commas, and let's say we want to show a decimal too. So we'll do 0.00, and we'll throw in a string M, comma. Now we have that number format we want. Let's say we want to throw a $sign in the front. Click OK. Now we have this formatted as 100.mm. Now let's say it's 100 million, 500, cool, 500,000. Now we get that decimal. The same thing goes with the K in this case. So if we want to have it 600K, I'm going to click this. Again, custom number format. Go here. We'll change this to hashtag, comma, .00K. Throw the number sign in the front. Enter. And now we got it in that format. Really cool. Okay, guys, so let's say we want to look at this range of data. I'm going to change this back to a regular number in this case. So we have millions, but we also have hundreds of thousands here. What we can actually do here is, again, go back to the custom number format, go up here, go to custom, and we can actually type in a formula that will make it change based on if it's over or under 1 million. Now, pause the video because you might need it, but what we're going to do is we're going to make a bracket. So bracket less than 1 million. Let's make sure the zeros are good there. One more 0. Close this bracket out. We'll say if it's less than this, then we'll do the number format for the 100,000. So 0.00K. And throw a semicolon here. Another bracket. Greater than or equal to 1 million. Make sure we get the zeros right here. Close this bracket off. Number sign 0.00, comma, comma, oops, enter. Cool. So basically what that does is it basically is going to change anything over 1 million to this number and anything under 1 million to that K. So being 600,000 in this case, if I change this to 500,000, it'll update. Just an easier way to read your numbers. There are plenty of ways to do number formats. And as I said, I'll update an Excel spreadsheet. I'll update a PDF with some of these in there so you're able to do these. All right, guys, so we got goal, seek, and solver here. So essentially one and the same, just a little bit different, 2 different ways to get a outcome. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to have the set cell be the area that we want to actually do this computation in. And we want to change the value. Let's say in this case we have sales at 150,000. We want the sales to be, let's say, 1 million. And we want to change the number of units sold, right? So we'll click OK. And what it's going to do is actually going to change the number of units sold. This is actually the wrong number format. So I'm going to change this back to a number. So it's saying here, let's actually add the thousands in this case. Thousands. So what it's saying here is that to get to that $1 million sales number, we need 133,000 units sold. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to do the solver plugin. So we'll go to data, click solver. All right, so what we want to do here is we want to go to data and then click solver. We want the set objective to be the net income cell in this case. And let's say we want the value to be C25. So we want the net income to be 120,000 versus that 67,150. And now the variable cells that we're going to want to change. So we're going to want to change the number of units sold and the price per unit, right? So click enter. And we want some constraints. So in this case, we want our price per unit to be less than or equal to this $9.99. So we'll add that constraint. And we also want our number of units sold to be less than or equal to that 25,000. Oops. Click this. Less than or equal to that 25,000. So these are our constraints, right? What we're saying is we want to be able to get this 120,000 as our net income, and these are our constraints, and these are the cells that we want to change. So let's click solve. Cool. It updated the following. It says solver has found a solution. All constraints are optimally conditioned or satisfied. So we'll click OK. And now the number of units sold that we need to hit that $120,000 net income is 23,576. And the price per unit is that $9.60. So as you guys see here, that is our solver plugin. Very useful tool. You can apply it to many different things. All right, guys, let's get into sensitivity analysis. Now, look at this beautiful table. We're able to calculate the quantity sold and the price per unit, and we're able to get a variety of different outcomes based on different sensitivities of the price or the actual quantity sold. So I'm going to clear this out, and let's start from scratch, and we're going to build on this. So let's do it. Alrighty, guys. So here we have the units sold during the current year. We have the price per unit during the current year. We have the cost per unit. So we have our revenue here, and then we have our cost of goods sold, and now we have our gross profit. So we want to find out our gross profit, and we want to find out at different price points and different quantities sold how much we're going to be making. Now, let's say our minimum gross profit that's acceptable, let's say, is 1.2 million. Okay? So remember this line right here. We'll highlight this in bold. Cool. All right, so let's do it. So what we want to do with the data table is we want to format our data table like this, where we have our one constraint here, or one parameter here, and one input here and another input there. What we want to do is we want to have this equal to our actual calculation here, which will be our gross profit. And on top of here, let's put in what we currently have, which is the 250,000, and the price per unit, 820. Now let's just do some different variances here. So let's just do it subtracting 50 cents each. So here it'll be 7.70. And let's just do equals minus 0.5. Let's go, oops. Let's go up. And we can do plus this, plus 0.5. Or you can reference a cell. In this case, I'm just going to be doing it like this. Let's just copy these and paste these as values so we don't get any funky errors. Paste as values. And let's add 50,000 to each quantity sold. Okay. And then let's subtract 50,000. Cool. All right, guys. So here, the moment of truth. Let's add one more here. Finish out this table. We'll copy this again. Just right click, copy, and then command, paste as values. All right. So what we want to do is we want to select this entire data table. We want to go up to data, what if analysis, data table, row input cell. So for the row input cell, it would be this 250,000. The column input cell would be this 820. And let's click OK. And what do you know? We got that 1360, 500 at that 820 price point. Now remember, I had the minimum gross profit of 1.2 million. So what we can do here is let's select this whole data set. Let's build on what we learned. Conditional formatting. Highlight cell rules. Greater than this 1.2 million. Let's fill that with green. And let's also add another rule. Highlight cell rules. Less than that 1.2 million. So we know that with these quantities at these prices, we're not hitting our goal, but at these quantities and these prices, we're hitting our goal. Very easy and awesome way to do an analysis, a very quick way to do a sensitivity analysis to see where your price points are and how much you need to sell. And this can be used for various different services as well, with hourly, billed hourly, and those kind of things. So feel free to take this on your own and to solve it yourself. All right, so scenario analysis. What does that mean? In this case, we have some scenarios here and we have some scenarios here. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to be able to switch by the different scenarios and see what's going to get us the best outcome, or what's our outcome, what could our outcomes look like. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to write a choose function. So we'll write choose. Now the index number is going to be what number we decide to choose from. In this case, we're going to put it in cell C8, and we'll come back to this. We'll click comma. The value of number 1 will be this best case scenario. The value of number 2 will be this base case scenario. And the value of number 3 will be this worst case scenario. Let's just close this off. Let's lock in this C8. Enter. Now this doesn't have anything yet, but don't worry. We'll pull it over. We'll do the same thing for these cells. Instead of these, let's do the cost scenarios. So this, and this. Close this out. Pull it across. Now what's really cool about this choose function that we just did for a scenario analysis, so if we go here and we click 1, since it's our best case, we'll see that this updates. Now we can go 2 for our base case, and we can go 3 for our worst case. And we'll see all the different scenarios in this case, and we can have as many scenarios as we like using the choose function, and I just have a data validation drop down here. Really easy, really cool way to do a bunch of scenarios inside of Excel. All right, guys, let's look at regression analysis. So let's take a look at this data. We got the year, the card name, and the card price. So we want to be able to predict the card price based on the year. Now we can go through and find the slope and find the intercept on our own, or we can use that cool tool, analysis tool pack. So what we want to do is we want to go to data, go to data analysis, and instead of descriptive statistics, as we used before, let's use regression. So we'll click OK. The Y input range, in this case, we'll take this out. The Y input range in this case is going to be the card price. So we'll select all the data with the card price. Enter. And the X input range will be the year, right? We're predicting it based on the year. We'll add labels, and let's put it on G2 is good. Click OK. And boom, I got some leftover here. And boom, we get our summary output in this case. All right. and we get some statistics. Okay, since we have a low p-value under the 0.05 threshold, this is a very small number, we can actually use this data to predict the future card price. So let's make a little calculator down here. Let's put year and let's put price. So we know that, let's say we want to make a list here. We know that we have a list of years. So let's do the data validation list. The source would be this. Click enter. Okay. So we know that we can choose our years here. And let's actually write a formula to predict the price. So the formula will be y equals mx plus b, or we'll take the intercept that we get here, we'll add that to the coefficient of the year times the actual year. Click this, click enter, and we know a 2009 card is going to be worth approximately $2,500. Let's check our data. 2009, pretty close, pretty close. Let's do another one. Let's do 2022, and we get a number that's pretty close. Now maybe let's do a 2025. Didn't match our validation in this case. So in this case, maybe instead of making it a list, maybe what we can do is we can change this. Instead of a list, let's change it just to any whole number. Greater than, let's say 1990, because that's when the card came out. So cool, we can use this as a predictive measure to see what the card would be worth in 2026. Very cool, a very easy way to do some analysis on some data points. Now let's take a look at multiple regression analysis. So we have the cards again, but this time we have ratings and we have the card condition as well. So let's take a look at this data. So how do we do it? Again, let's go to data analysis, regression. Let's clear out our prior regression analysis. All right, so Y input range, our Y input range is going to be our card price. Our X input range in this case, we'll use all of the data here up to D1. Oops, D20. Click OK. Let it run the analysis, and then boom, we have more data. Again, the p-values here are lower than 0.05, so we can use this data, statistically significant. In this case, let's make another model. So let's say the year, the card condition, and the card rating. And let's do the price. It's going to be the same. What we're going to do is we're going to do equals. Take this intercept, we're going to add it to the year, put this in parentheses, oops, year times the year coefficient times the year, plus the card condition coefficient times the card condition, and then add in again the card rating coefficient times the card rating. In this case, it's going to be negative 207. But let's put the year in. So let's say it's 2020 card. The card's rated as 6. And let's say the card condition is 6 and the card rating, let's say the card rating is an 8. So $3,703. Let's change this to a number. Let's do a spot check. So we know in 2020, a card that was rated a 9 or had a 9 as a condition, rated a 7, went for $4,200. Let's change this to a 9 and a 7. And look, we're pretty close. Pretty close. So a really cool way to predict future values based on the data that you're given utilizing regression analysis. Another tool in your tool belt, pretty good pun there for the analysis tool pack. So very cool way to do this. Feel free to do it with some data. So give it a shot
and let me know what you guys get. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I'll catch you guys on the last module. It's been a blast being able to talk with you guys and be able to teach you guys Excel. I'm telling you, this last video is going to be incredible, and beyond whatever you decide to do in Excel, you'll learn many things and you'll continue to keep learning. As you've seen during my time doing these videos, I've made many mistakes, made many errors and stupid mistakes, so don't feel dumb if you make errors. It's part of the process, but continue to keep learning and keep learning the beautiful program that Excel is, and I'll catch you guys on the next video on my way out.